don't like that photo either. I'm going to go to the next one.
Yeah, so my talk is search is everywhere. Why isn't your marketing? So it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces in the room, but for those who don't know me, I'm Martin Harris. I'm the head of digital at Tank. So I lead all the aspects of digital marketing at Tank, as Martin mentioned a second ago. That's the PPC, SEO, influencer marketing, social, PPC, the whole works. The aim of this talk today is hopefully to change your perception about SEO. It's obviously changing a lot at the moment, but also we're not to take our eye off the ball in that there's still a lot of work to be done on the standard SEO side. I'm also hoping as well today we'll tee up some of the great speakers we've got. My talk is very much an overview of like the strategic side and how you should probably approach it. And then there's more of the mechanisms today, which the rest of the speakers will get into. As Martin mentioned, you can ask me questions at the end of the talk, but we've also got the panel discussion a little later on. So the problem, old SEO thinking. At the moment, I'm sure the majority of you have heard that SEO is a little bit of in a turbulent period at the moment. And realistically, I think there needs to be a little bit of balance in terms of understanding what's going on in the industry, but also where the opportunities lie. So to start us off, what's the first thing you think of when you hear SEO? So I want to put this out to the audience. And yeah, what's the first thing you think about? Data, yeah. Value of a link, yeah. The digital PR folks in the room. Search engines, yeah. Keywords, yeah. For me, it's just the standard Google search page, those 10 blue links and Google Search Console. And that's pretty much been the case for a very long time. And it still is the case in some way, but obviously things have evolved. And at the moment, you're probably hearing a lot of this. Now, I've worked in digital marketing for 15 years. I've heard SEO is dead every couple of years. I really like that graph on the right because it just shows the growth of the SEO industry every time it's been announced that it's dead. I think that's a great example of today, really, that AI search is obviously super important. And whilst there's a lot of scaremongering about, it's definitely not dead. It's just changed. And a lot of the time when there's obviously something new and exciting in the room, people treat it as like a shiny new toy. And a lot of marketers are treating SEO like this at the moment. And it is and it isn't the case. Obviously, AI search is super important, but we shouldn't really take our eye off the ball. SEO is not dead. Again, it's evolved. Optimization isn't about rankings. Optimization isn't just about rankings in search engines. It's about being discoverable wherever that intent lives. So some of the data and what we're seeing at the moment, 67% of Gen Z report using Instagram first when they want to search for something. Over 40% of people in the US have used TikTok as a search engine, and 62% of people report using LLMs over traditional search engines for certain tasks. The takeaway here is simple. Discovery is fragmenting. Search engines still matter, but they're now part of a much bigger ecosystem. A big caveat for this presentation and for today, the £800 gorilla room is still Google. The majority of your search efforts should still be with Google. Now, there are obviously a changing landscape, but it's something we need to think about. For the first time ever, traditional search is losing share versus alternative channels, and that's because where we look for information has become more complex. Social media is still on the rise as many people, especially young people, use the likes of TikTok for news, entertainment, and product recommendations. Of course, the biggest change, though, is the rise of daily use of AI for both personal and professional use. Hopefully, that graph makes sense and you can see the rise and the slight decline of traditional search. And I'm sure the majority of the marketers in the room have seen through their own personal analytics at the moment that clicks are reducing. And again, some of the speakers today have got some great data and examples of this a bit later. 50% of all searches at the moment are zero click. That means the majority of your searches are being absorbed by something like AI overviews or through the actual LLMs themselves, such as ChatGPT. Now, this change in search habit has coined a new term, search everywhere optimization. Or in short, SEO. I wanted to put this slide in because I sums up the industry quite well at the moment because in essence, SEO is still the focus. It's just got a rebranded name. So the shift from search engine to search ecosystem. When we look at how people discover brands, one thing's clear. There isn't a Google monopoly anymore. If you look at the slide there, the search engines are still very much top, but where we look for information has changed quite a fair bit. There's still obviously lots of different channels where people discover brands from, but I think where we search is definitely changed. What's really interesting is how the lines between brand discovery and search intent are starting to blur. People don't just search when they're ready to buy. Discovery and intent now happen side by side across every touch point, and now all in one LLM. So if you think about if you are searching in ChatGPT at the moment, you might go from the initial stage of discovery to consideration to purchase all in one platform. And obviously that's just massively changed in terms of how the marketing funnel works. It's also a reminder that discovery is happening everywhere. And if we only focus on one channel, we're missing a huge part of the opportunity. This data shows that brand discovery isn't the same for every age group. I wanted to highlight the different cohorts here. For example, younger people are more likely to find brands through social media ads, while older audiences still rely heavily on TV. Search engines are strong across most age groups, but they're not the only path. The point is people discover brands in different ways depending on who they are. Search matters, but it's only one part of the puzzle. Each channel surfaces content slightly differently. Search engines focus on authority and relevance. AI engines look for structured data, credible sources. Social and video platforms reward engagement. Marketplaces prioritize conversion signals. We won't go deep here. The next speakers will cover a lot of this in a lot more detail, but the key takeaway is optimize for how each platform actually works. So we've seen how every platform works a bit differently, but to really succeed, we need one strategy that brings it all together. We can't win in SEO by just chasing algorithms. We win by understanding people. Search everywhere isn't a battle against or a collision course with SEO. It's a battle against the single channel mindset. That's where the 5 stages of search everywhere optimization comes in. It's about knowing your audience, knowing where they are, knowing what they want, creating and optimizing content, and building authority and trust along the way. This is the marketing layer, the human part that makes all the channels work together. The next slides will take us through this holistic approach. Now, with it being October, I've tried to go for a topical theme to hopefully join this all together. And I've used pumpkins, or buying pumpkins online. I was told to make this presentation as interactive as possible, so I hope a dancing pumpkin does it for you. So for the sake of this exercise, let's pretend we own a pumpkin patch and an online shop, and we're trying to get new customers. And I know there's a lot of B2B marketers in the room, and I can assure you this approach will apply to all aspects. So the first one, knowing your audience. So an ideal customers for our pumpkin patch might be families and individuals who value seasonal traditions and memorable experiences. They tend to live within about an hour or 2 from the farm, and our online shoppers come across the UK. They care about quality, authenticity, and supporting local businesses. A buyer persona might be Emily Hart, 34, a primary school teacher living in the suburbs with a husband and 2 young children. She loves autumn, the colours, the scents, and the traditions. At weekends, she looks for wholesome, family-friendly activities that don't feel commercial or chaotic. Now, this is great for general marketing, but what has it got to do with AI search and social algorithms? Well, large language models and AI overviews are changing how we think about SEO. We're moving away from short, predictive keywords and towards longer, contextual phrases that reflect real user intent. Karina's got a great talk about this a bit later to talk about how keywords work across search. So hopefully this will explain it in a bit more detail. And it's not just in search. The same applies to social. Platform rewards trust, engagement, not just keywords. That's why creating ideal customer profiles and buyer personas is so important in this new era of AI search. Your ICP tells you who you're talking to, what content they engage with, the language and the tone that resonate, and the themes that they care about. Your buyer persona tells you how they search, the questions they ask, and the phrases they use. When you define both, you're not just targeting people, you're aligning your content with the AI and the algorithms that understand intent and semantic meaning. So the evolution of keywords is understanding people and grouping people together. And that's why ICPs and buyer personas are so important. As we've seen from previous slides, marketers can't just spray and pray. We need to know exactly where they are or put all their eggs in Google's basket. You need to map out the full buyer journey. That means using CRM data, social listening, media mix modeling to see where your customers actually spend their time. Then match that intent to the right channel at the right stage instead of relying on the last click guesswork. So part of our research for selling pumpkins online, we'll look at how they typically spend their time. Now, I encourage everyone to use this tool with something called Spark Toro, and it will give you an idea of exactly where your customers are. The example I've got on the right there is how to buy pumpkins online. And as an average across each of the channels, it's given me where usually they're quite popular. So in this example, it's Reddit and Amazon where it's recommending that we put all of our efforts. We also need to know what our customers want. It all comes down to intent. Are they looking for information, trying to find a specific brand ready to buy, or seeking a community to belong to? Once you've mapped those intent types, you can start building topic clusters around real needs and pain points, not just keywords. One of the best ways to do this is pulling questions directly from forums, reviews, social threads. That's where we reveal what people actually care about. In the example on the right, we've got a review from Morrison's Pumpkins, where someone has got frustrated with the label. I did a fair bit of research on this, and apparently this is a bit of a common thing. A lot of people get really annoyed with sticky labels on pumpkins. This information is great for content opportunities, optimizing for what people are searching for, and improving brand reputation and trust. We can answer those questions. And finally, keep an eye out for trending conversations with your industry. When you track that buzz, you can align your content to what customers want right now, not what they searched for last year. A trend over the past 30 days is knitted pumpkins. So this might be an added sell we added to our online shop. And apparently, according to that, witchcraft. So yeah, hopefully we can use that as part of our overall marketing as well. So how do we create content and optimize? So just standard content isn't enough. You've got to meet that demand. That means showing up in the formats that your audience actually want. Blogs, videos, infographics, podcasts, whatever they consume the most, then optimize for each platform. Captions, metadata, thumbnails, structured data, because what works on YouTube won't work on LinkedIn. Republish the content smartly, build trust through reviews and user-generated content. Trustworthiness, freshness, and original data is incredibly important in this new era of AI search. Remember, social platforms and LMs are multimodal, and so are our search habits. LMs are getting increasingly better at understanding different formats, and it's only going to use that more often. In traditional SEO, video and voice often gets overlooked, and that's something where we need to put more of our focus going forward. It could be, as part of our research in the pumpkin farm, we found the majority of our customers consume podcasts, for example, and that's where we need to be. So if Stephen Bartlett wants to know about our rise and grind pumpkin culture, we will be there. If our ICP is inspired by pumpkin carving on YouTube, we'll try to be there as well. Ultimately, it's about getting out the mindset of search equals keywords and making sure that you're visible wherever your customers are. Authority and trust is what makes your brand stick. It's about showing real experience, expertise, authority, and trust. Back it up with social proof, such as reviews, user-generated content, and case studies. The example on here is Adam Bearton, who is apparently an expert in all things pumpkins. Using him and other influencers could add credibility to our pumpkin patch and show Google and LLMs the right trust signals. So having lots of people talking about our brand who are experts in that space is what's going to really help us stand out. We can also develop credibility through digital PR with quality backlinks and build brand presence with PR that feels authentic, not forced. Because trust isn't something you optimize for once, it's something you earn every day. Freshness for AI search isn't just important on site, but how people are talking about your brand right now. Just because you have good PR 2 years ago does not mean that will carry through today in today's search. Now, I know what the majority of you are thinking. Isn't this just good marketing? Yes. And it's exactly what algorithms and AI are using to rank your content. This isn't just what search engines and AI models or social algorithms want, it's what your customers want. Too often we separate optimization for people and optimization for bots, but the reality is algorithms are increasingly designed to reflect real human behavior. If we focus on creating content that truly serves our customers, we'll naturally perform better across search, AI, and social. So I've got a couple of examples in the wild. The first one on TikTok, which is one of the most fastly growing platforms outside of Google for search. Hopefully this plays.
Barrows and wellies at the ready because cosy season is here, and where better to celebrate than at the UK's largest pumpkin festival at Farmer Copley's. Located just a 30-minute drive from Leeds, you'll find over 300,000 pumpkins to pick from with over 40 different varieties. Small, big, wonky, or even perfect enough to ride to the ball. Make sure you've got enough phone storage though, because there are tons of photo opportunities around the festival in true Farmer Copley's style. It doesn't stop there though, there's live music, plenty of food, and even a gift shop to kit out your house in time for Halloween. Launching from tomorrow, bring the kids, the dogs, your mates, and see pumpkin season properly.
So I searched for the term buy pumpkins, and that was the first thing that came up. And the reason why that came up is, first of all, it's fresh. It was posted 4 days ago. It had good engagement. It's clearly labeled to visit in person. It had captions, trending music. It was from an established account with lots of followers. It had relevant keywords and rich hashtags. And location, because I was actually near Leeds at the time, it came up there. And this is how the majority of people are searching at the moment, or especially the younger people are searching at the moment. And another example of how we can optimize across different channels. Had to use a ChatGPT example here as well. Now, I've also used the example buy pumpkins online, and it's come up with some suggestions for me. The reason why these are coming up, again, it's identified my location from where I live in Derby. It's selected places that offer nationwide delivery. It's listed value adds, such as carving kits and edible. What you'll often find when it comes to competitive comparisons on ChatGPT is that it will always try to pull out USPs. So if you've not got a differentiator there, you won't often show up. It features brands which have a strong brand presence. So a lot of these brands actually have great PR as well. So where they're listed across other platforms online. It features brands with good reviews and a good positive reputation. And more importantly, it's already ranking well in Google. If I go back to talking about how well you need to, how Google is still the place where you need to put all your effort. If ChatGPT can't get the answer it wants, it will go to search. And if you're ranking well in search, you'll rank well on ChatGPT. So some takeaways. Marketing and brand is more integrated than it has ever been. The goal shouldn't be to do SEO. The ultimate goal should be brand visibility and sales wherever your customers are. The landscape is ever evolving, but one consistent remains the same. Make sure you're visible across all platforms, provide positive experience and a consistent brand message, which in return will help you grow your brand, reputation, and sales, which in a nutshell is search everywhere optimization. I completely forgot I had questions at the end, so yeah, I'm going to stay a bit longer. Any questions?
When you were showing me buy pumpkins and there was topics that came up on the side like knitting, vegan, good chocolate and witchcraft, what did you use to find that information? Was that SparkToro?
Google Trends, but SparkToro is great for that as well.
And all of that, for you're a pumpkin farmer, and adds a lot of time. How big do you think social media department needs to be? Because people think of it, if we move from TB into digital, they've saved a lot of money on 100 grand plus on the TB ad. But actually what we need is people. How big do you think a content team needs to be in the average SME?
It's hard to say without going into like the kind of full details of the business, but I've seen some real good success from big brands and small brands with 1 or 2 man teams. And often we reach out to influencers to create user generated content, which can really help with kind of getting that credibility and trust. I think there's obviously a general misconception about how much effort needs to go into kind of big marketing campaigns. And I've seen some really successful marketing campaigns from really small teams. So I think it's doable. Any more?
You talked about chat GPT there. Is there still no way of kind of tracking your citations, etc., in AI search?
There's a few tools. At the minute, it's very experimental, and obviously different marketers are trying to use it to see what's best. We used a couple. One's called Peak.ai and another one called LLM Refs. Now, these aren't 100%. Because we don't get the full user journey, and it will kind of give us an idea of prompts to track. But in terms of kind of the full circle traffic keyword, we don't have that, and I don't think we'll have it for some time, but it will give you a better indication of how well your brand is performing against your competitors.